and that the fire of love, that the Holy Spirit, leads us to creation, that shall renew the face of the earth. Let us pray. O God, who by the light of the Holy Spirit, did instruct the hearts of thy faithful, rather by the same Spirit, may be always truly wise, and ever rejoice in consolation through the same Christ our Lord. May you seek of wisdom, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. So, once again, good afternoon, everybody. I do hope that at least you were able to catch a little siesta before we resume this afternoon. Now, I'd like to begin just by making reference to another passage of scripture that we are all very familiar with. In fact, this afternoon, this morning as I was going down the hill, I was having a chat with one of you. I was making reference to this passage on the call of Matthew. So you will find it in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 9 and verse 9. There's a parallel of it in Mark chapter 2, verse 13 and following. It's a very simple passage about the call of Matthew. Mark's rendition reads, "And he went out again beside the sea, and all the crowd gathered about him, and he taught them. And as he passed on, he saw Levi, the son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax office. And he said to him, 'Follow me.' And he rose and followed him." And so on and so forth. And it is one of the passages of scripture that recently has caught my attention. Of course, again, it looks very benign. Matthew, in fact, calls him Matthew. Mark calls him Levi, and says that he was sitting, son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax office. Looks very benign. And unless you begin to ask yourself, wait a minute, what's going on here? Now, this guy, Mark decides to call Levi. As you can see, Matthew calls him Matthew, and Mark decides to call him Levi. And that opens a huge Pandora's box. Now, you know that the structure of the temple in Israel is such that on the outside you have the court of the Gentiles, where the Gentiles can access and they can't go any further. Now, as you go into the temple proper, you enter into the court of women. That's how far women can get. Then you enter into the court of Israel, or the court of men. That's how far Jewish men can get. And then you have the court of priests. And inside the court of priests, you have the abattoir for slaughtering animals. You have the altar of burnt offerings. Then, of course, you have the Holy of Holies, and so most holy place, and so on and so forth. And altar of showbread, and so on and so forth. Now, remember yesterday I was talking to you about modern Jews who are called Kohen. It means that he's from a priestly family. And even up to today, he is guarding with all his strength and his might the fact that he belongs to the family of the Kohanites, the priest. No priest jokes with this matter. Can you imagine that they haven't had a temple for 2,000 years, but they are still conscious of who they are? And without Levi, at least if you will not be in the court of priests, you'll be in the court of women at least. He's sitting at the customs office, collecting taxes for the Romans. We saw today, we were arguing about the fact that the Pharisee doesn't even want to see the coin, because there's a head of Caesar on it. That alone is enough revulsion for him. How lost can you get? How lost? And when Mark says in a very, pedestrian manner that, oh, Levi was sitting at the customs office, you read it and you just pass over it. Oh my goodness, there's a huge affair here. The guy couldn't have been more lost. And he says to us about who we are, and I don't know if you know that there are members of our fraternity, priests ordained like us, who are taxi drivers in the U.S. Now, this is not to judge them. I hope you understand the point. Because that is not the issue. You can still be in the Presbyterium and you are that lost. But that's the case of Levi. And it's the case of when we lose focus. What would happen? And mind you, there is nobody who is beyond this. No, none of us. Nobody. I might be speaking later on the question of enmity, and I will say to you later on, maybe, there is no one that Satan cannot deceive. No one. No one. Nobody. I think that of all the vices that Satan has, he has one virtue: patience. He doesn't mind waiting for you 40 years to get his hand on you. The reason why we can never be up and doing enough as far as our spiritual life and spiritual consciousness is concerned. That's why we elect to begin to talk this afternoon about, it is your face that I seek, Psalm 27 verse 4, priest and interior life. And beloved, there is one thing that is eating me up. And what is that one thing? You don't need to go far to know or to realize the church in Ghana, the church in Accra, is a church that is alive. There's no question about it. We are all around the place. We are active, we are organizing programs, and so on and so forth. But I want to wonder whether, with all our activity, whether we are sufficiently balanced when it comes to the contemplative life. The church, in her wisdom, understands that we breathe with two lungs. There's an active life and there's a contemplative life. And almost everywhere there must be that balance. 125 years of mission in Accra. Show me where the contemplative life in our diocese is. Show me. We don't have one monastery. Not one. If you want to do a retreat in Accra today, where would you go? We become masters of the active life. We don't know about the contemplative. We're breathing with one lung. I don't know who to tell, but we need to fix this. And this is not just a problem of Accra. It has become a problem in the whole country. Last time the poor clerks were around in Cape Coast, they folded up and left. There were no vocations. You tell any young boy or young girl in your parish to go to the cloistered life, they'll laugh at you. And yet, you only need to go next door to Bega in Togo or to Nigeria. The monasteries everywhere. So what did we get wrong? Where did we go wrong? Have we discovered the art of being only active without being contemplative? Has the church ever been like that? No. Right from the beginning, while people were ministering, the desert fathers were in the desert. The Middle Ages is the same. We invite Father Bush one of these days to talk to us about these things. Active life balanced by the contemplative life. Even all our sisters' congregations are all active. All active. When I got back from Rome, I decided to visit one of my young friends who used to be at the cathedral, and decided to join the Benedictine nuns in Kubri, Burkina Faso. I went all the way to Burkina Faso to visit her. I was in their convent for a few days, about 4 or 5 days or something like that. Mensah, it was impressive. Sure, any of you who are visiting any of these monasteries, people are praying round the clock. Round the clock. And I thought to myself, oh my, what if we had that dimension too in our church? I'm praying one day one of these congregations at least will find root to support us. We are doing well in the active life, there's no question. But we need that too. And the principle is set, as far as I'm concerned, again in the Pentateuch. There's a battle of Amalek. Moses said to Joshua, choose for us men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses told him. Fought with Amalek. Moses and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. Whenever he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. Set. Joshua is the man of action, Moses the man of prayer. The balance is there. Sometimes it doesn't mean I'm going to be arguing very soon that both the active and the contemplative should find place in the life of every priest anyway. But I'm arguing that the broad outline has been set. There is a need for the active, and there is a need for the contemplative. Even, I'm sure I can see at least one military man over here. By the way, in Greek, the name for a soldier, I'm sure you're familiar with it, stratiotes. Stratiotes. Stratiotes is a person who has strategy. You don't win a battle by anyhowness. While people are fighting, ahead, there are others who are drawing. In fact, the battle is won on paper. It's not a matter of how strong you are out there. The strategy you're using. That's how battles are won. Even as we fight with all our strength on the battleground, the people who back us in prayer. I want us to pass and look. I just said something about Joshua. No, I just said Joshua was the man of action. As if Moses was the man of prayer, Joshua was the man of action. But by Exodus chapter 33, verse 11, mind you, in Exodus chapter 32 was the whole issue about the golden calf, and Joshua is the one who is, the assistant to Moses, helping to destroy all those who had messed up and so on. So already we can see Joshua is gradually moving into leadership position. Then Exodus 33:11 says, "Thus the Lord used to speak to Moses face to face," naturally, because Moses is the man, As a man speaks to his friend, when Moses turned again into the camp, his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, did not depart from the tent. Immediately it becomes clear that Joshua must be the next leader. What they are interested in ingraining into his mind is that, man, you are the man of action, but that's not all that is important. Don't leave the tent. An active man, before he leaves Israel, he must learn to be a contemplative. Don't leave that tent until you've learned the rules of the game. Joshua has to learn the art of face-to-face contemplation. Face-to-face. By the way, let's say something about the word face-to-face right here. A Hebrew word is panim, the word for the face, panim. The interesting thing about the word panim, as I'm sure you're familiar with, is that almost all Hebrew words, once you hear the word ending in im or ot, it means it's a plural word. And the word for the face is panim. As if to say faces. And before, as it were, you become a leader in Israel, what is important is that you're going to show your panim to God. For those of you who remember Macbeth, Blaise and I studied back in school, there is no art to find the mind's construction in the face. What does that mean? It means practically everybody has more than one face. The face I show when I meet for Asari. different one when I meet the rector, different one when I meet my classmate Azo. Yeah, everybody has more than one face. But before Joshua would become leader, he must go and unveil all the faces he has before the Lord. All his panim. There must be nothing hidden, as it were, between he and his God. And he has to stay there for as long as it takes for him to know God and for God to know him. And all the phases of his life. Now, look at the passage in Exodus chapter 34. When Moses had finished speaking with them, he put on a veil. But whenever Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he took off the veil, so that God will see all the panim, every dimension of him. Nothing is hidden between he and his God. Must be totally exposed. The Word of God says by the time Moses would come out, his face would be shining. And you'd have to put the veil back on. By the way, I don't know, but this question of looking God eyeball to eyeball and face to face is no easy matter. There's a way in which, when you are in certain situations, you don't really like to look God in the eye. In fact, that's when prayer becomes difficult. Not interesting. In fact, that is when you begin to run away from contemplative prayer, from meditative prayer. You can do the shouting aloud. But when I tell you to go and sit 1 hour before the Blessed Sacrament, it doesn't become funny. Because invariably all your panim will be shown to you. Now, Paul, reflecting on this incident, those very incidents of Moses and his, the face, says something that I stumbled across and I thought, my goodness, not this one. He said, as it is today, this is from 2 Corinthians chapter 3, I'm just reading here from verse 15. As it is today, to this day, whenever Moses is read, their hearts are covered with a veil. Now, he's talking about the people of Israel who have not accepted Christ, and so on and so on. So he goes and says, and this veil will not be taken away till they turn to the Lord, and all of us with unveiled faces, like mirrors reflecting the glory of God, are being transformed, etc., etc., etc. But you see that Paul has shifted gear. He's no longer talking about the veiled face. He's talking about the veiled heart. Look at it. Whenever Moses is read, their hearts are covered with a veil. Their hearts. And what is Paul talking about? The word for heart, the Hebrew word levav, the heart in the Hebrew anthropology is not just the instrument or the organ of feeling. It's not just the seat of emotion. Lave is the organ, the faculty of two things: of thinking and of volition. So according to the Hebrew, you don't just feel with your heart, you think with your heart. We moderns don't think that way, we think with our brain. And the Hebrew says, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, it's not with your emotions, with all your thoughts, your plans. Heart is what you think with, and heart is what you decide with. Faculty of choice, of volition, belongs to the heart. And this is Paul saying that the Jews have a veil over their heart. What does it mean? Imagine that you're talking to God face to face, but you have a veil over your heart because you don't want God to know what you are thinking. You don't want him to know your next move. Smile to God, but keep your thoughts secret from him. Remember what Prophet Jeremiah says in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, 10, following. The heart is most perverse, devious too. I, the Lord, search the mind and the heart. And yet, according to Paul, we are trying even to cover our very thoughts. We wouldn't even want God to penetrate what we are thinking, what we are planning. Of course, it's in contemplation, it's in silent prayer that you allow God to invade your thoughts. And to do battle at the core of the decisions that you're about to make. Intervene. See, because it's precisely because the heart is unveiled that we end up taking certain decisions. And you ask yourself, is there a priest who did this? My heart is veiled. My thinking faculty, the place where I decide the action to take, I don't allow God to enter that area. Before there's a leader in Israel, he must be prepared to unveil his heart. Remember that some time ago when we lost our brother, Joseph Okran's father. I remember that the homily that I preached at Christ the King, I spoke a little bit about Thomas. Of course, not everybody was there. I remember that Thomas in the Gospel of John is sometimes called Didymus, the twin. Didymus, twin. He's not the only brother we know about in Scripture. We know Peter's brother was Andrew, James' brother was John, and so on and so forth. So there are many brothers we know about in the Scripture. The only thing is that we only hear that Thomas is a twin. Who his twin brother was, we never hear about. Unless John means something more. Don't be surprised. John is very poetic, very symbolic in his ideas. He calls Thomas Didymus, the twin. You know, the big thing about twins, of course, we have Siamese twins, fraternal twins, and so on. The main thing that we know about twins, the thing that characterizes twins most, is their identity. The fact that they are identical. You can hardly tell the two aside. The last time we were talking about some twins we have in the parish close by here, who like to play tricks on everybody because they are so identical that it's so difficult. I only notice that one has a certain spot. So when they come to me, I look very carefully to see whether the person has a spot. I say, this one is Doris has a spot. Dora doesn't have the spot. Otherwise, you'll be mixing them. They'll be playing tricks on you. But Didymos is something that perhaps Thomas, there is something more about this man. You remember that in John chapter 14, it's Thomas, the very same one who comes to Jesus and is asking, Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? You know that in the Old Testament, anytime you talk about the way, there are twin ways. Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the company of scorners, nor sit in the company of scoffers. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and he meditates upon that law day and night. Goes on. He is like a tree that is planted beside water, so on and so forth. Not so, the wicked, not so. But they like chaff will be blown away. For the Lord watches over the way of the just, but the way of the wicked is to do. Most probably, Thomas truly saw the Didymos, the man with two ways in his life, contradictory ways. And Jesus says to him, I am the way, Thomas. But every one of us has a little bit of Thomas in ourselves. There's little Didymos in everybody. Little twin spirit. Every so often we are Michael 1. Every so often Michael 2. One Michael when you meet me 7:30 in the morning in class or in church. Another Michael at 10 p.m. when I'm alone in my room. Didymos. And all these faces we have to bring before the Lord to look through us. Now, there's a passage in Numbers chapter 12. As you can see, there was that incident about Miriam and Aaron contesting Moses' leadership credentials. It's very interesting, very interesting in this passage, what credentials of leadership Moses is given. It doesn't say, oh, look, Moses is the leader because he is the one who brought the people out of Israel. That he is the one who, went and confronted Pharaoh. Or he is the one who struck the water from the rock. Or he is the one who defeated, the Amalekites. No. The credential of leadership of Moses in Israel is that with him I speak pay to pay, mouth to mouth, face to face, clearly, not in that speech. That's a credential. And this one we must remind ourselves. Because we often get confused by the fact that we have to do so much active work. We build a parish and we build a hall and we run the school and we administer this and to administer that. Of which we must not forget that the lay in the parish can do all that too. credential for our leadership as priests is that God speaks to us panim but panim. You are the only one who holds that bread in your hand and says to it, this is my body. You. That is what makes you the leader. And of that, nobody should be able to beat you to that. Interior life. That is the source of authority. When I was ordained, one priest of whole diocese, Sylvester, was about 3 years my senior in the seminary, gave me this book, Letters to a Brother Priest. I've guarded this book for several years. I think I only lost it a couple of months back. Somebody borrowed it. Has not brought it back. I still pray that the person will return my book to me. At least because it's clearly marked in it that this is an ordination gift to me. Fortunately, this book is now available on the internet, and it doesn't cost that much. It's just a small book, Letters to a Brother Priest. And it's about one Monsignor writing to a younger priest and telling him about Eucharistic adoration, personal prayer. This is the Blessed Sacrament, and so on and so forth. It's something that I've kept as a treasure in my life. But also because it reminds me of certain events that occurred earlier in my priestly life. Since I like to tell stories, I'll tell you this one too. This is 1993. I've been ordained, hosted the cathedral. Again, as I show you, Monsignor. What did I say? 2003. Oh, 93, sorry, no, I meant 2000. I'm not that old. 2003. 2003, we were ordained in 2002, but 2003, I'm in the cathedral. I remember when I arrived there, Father Megolopon was around by then. Monsignor was there, Monsignor Pedro was there, Father Ralph, Father Uncle was there. Father John Amma was just leaving the cathedral, I think, or he had just left. I think I occupied this room. And Father Ajiman had just around that time been transferred to Sakumono. He was just moving to Sakumono at the time. So really, when I arrived, within about 2 or 3 months, I was left with myself, Monsignor Peglo, Raphael, Father Raphael Akadonko. That was practically the team at the cathedral. Raph was 1 year old in the priesthood. I was just ordained. And I remember plodding into the work straight away, head on. Man, there's work in the cathedral. There's work. And we work. We work hard. And I remember that by June of that year, I was almost totally burnt out. You went to bed practically at midnight. You woke up at 6. You're practically on your feet the whole day. You saw nothing has changed. And I remember that, I'd go and I'd preach in church and I'd come back and people would say, oh, Mike, that was a great homily. It's nothing as annoying as when you preach and people are praising the homily and you are empty inside. I illustrate it with what happened with Naomi when she came back from the land of Moab. By the way, Naomi in Hebrew means sweetie. If that makes for some comic relief, then that's good. So you see, Naomi comes back from the land of Moab, and everybody is saying, "Oh, Naomi, Naomi, sweetie, sweetie." And she says, "Look, don't call me that name. Call me Mara, because I'm bitter." There's nothing as annoying as when everybody is saying, "Oh, you are doing so well, you are fantastic, you are great," and you know what is eating you inside. It's not funny, I'm telling you. You know that you are almost on the verge of packing your bag and leaving. And yet everybody is calling you sweetie. And I remember that I was at that point 6 months into ordination. And we went for this retreat at the Sowutuom, CCC. So those who have very good memories will still remember. I can't remember who the retreat master was, frankly. Again, to underline that sometimes it's not what the retreat master is doing on the retreat which is the issue. It's what God is doing with you. And I remember that I was so angry with God that I said, "Look, God, on this retreat, I'm not talking to you. I'm just tired, and I just want to sleep." So, first day of the retreat, I didn't mind God. As possibly somebody is doing on this retreat. There's nothing new under the sun. Ain Kadash Tahat Hashemesh. Nothing new. So I'm over there in my room, second day, I'm not minding God. On the third day, I remember this was Wednesday. I think I was lying in my room after one of the conferences, not minding God again as usual. And I thought I heard a voice, I'm talking about, an interior intuition, saying to me, "Well, Michael, what really are you complaining about?" I said, "Look, I'm tired. I don't want any more of this. Leave me alone." So I'm like, "This is actually your fault." And I'm like, "Okay." I wake up in the morning. I'm doing my work right until midnight. What is my fault? So, "Well, you don't pray." I said, "Look, right from the morning, I'm at Mass. I'm in the office. I'm praying for people. I'm doing this. Sometimes I'm celebrating Masses 2 times, 3 times a day. What are you talking about?" No, but you should get up in the morning and pray." I said, "Look, what time?" Already I'm getting up maybe about 5:36 to go for Mass in the cathedral at 6:15. I think it hasn't changed. When do you wake up? I said, "No, but you still need about an hour before the hour." He said, so what time am I supposed to wake up? To have an hour before the Blessed Sacrament, before going to Mass? Mass was 6:15. So that battle is going on back and forth as I'm lying on my bed. And I say, okay, fine, okay, you win. Do whatever you want. I'll wake up. But that meant that I had to wake up about 4:45. And beloved, for me, the one thing I love is my sleep. I'm not an early riser. I love my sleep in the morning. Wake up at 4:45, take a shower, and be in the cathedral at the time. I don't know whether it's changed. There's no oratory. You have to come out of your room by 5:15, go and open the small chapel in the mosquitoes up to 6:15 for an hour. It felt to me like purgatory. Well, okay, fine. If that's what you want, I'll do it for you. So I started. I did the first day, the second day, the third day I fell sick. So for about a week I couldn't do it again. I recovered, tried it 1 day, 2 days, and that was the end of the matter. So one fine morning I'm sleeping in my room. It's about 7 a.m. and there's a knock on my door. And the person said, well, Mike, there's somebody looking for you downstairs. I hadn't even taken my bath. So I just quickly brushed my teeth, came down, as you're familiar with the cathedral. There's this fat, short, black, stocky man sitting over there, grinning at me at 7 a.m. in the morning. And I'm like, what do you want? 7 a.m. He said, so, Father, I said, what? So, oh, Father, nothing. What do you want? You know, I just brought this to you. He's holding a black polythene bag. So I just took it, said thank you. I didn't utter one single word. I just turned my back and went back upstairs. I got to my room and I was there for a moment. Somebody said, well, in any case, you are here already. You better open that bag and find out what is inside. I opened the bag, an alarm clock. I'm angry. I say, God, even if I'm sleeping, should you go and tell the whole world that I sleep and can't wake up to do my prayer? Is that how you treat your friends? Alarm clock by a man that I don't even know. In any case, alarm clock is already here. What shall we do with it? So I set it. Set the alarm clock, put it beside my bed. It rang at 4:45. I woke up, went to pray. Woke up, second day, 4:45, went. Third day, when it rang, I stretched my hand, shut up. Second day it rang, I stretched my hand, shut up. Third day it rang, I stretched my hand, shut up. I said, no, we can't continue this way. Got up, took the alarm clock, went to the farthest end of my room. There. Next day it rang, heard alarm ringing, stretched out my hands, stretched. Alarm is still ringing. I have to go all the way, wake up, put alarm clock off. By the time I knew that I was awake, I had to go down and pray. That's how I learned to pray. My spiritual director had been telling me all since I was in the seminary. He said, look, if you don't pray, you'll crash. That I assure you, if you don't pray, you'll crash. I mean serious prayer. I truly want to believe that so many of these events, left and right that happen in your life, that if it's not for the power of prayer, if it's not for that constant touch with the Lord, look, like I say to you, there's none of you here that the devil cannot deceive. None. And even when you are praying, it's not easy. But we need to be committed to it. And sometimes it's something that you've done in the past, that with time, you become weak, and you let it go. Now, I remember not long ago, after I had come back from Rome, at some point I lost the discipline of it a little. So I used to do it, but not consistently. Once a while I do it, another day I don't do it, so on and so forth. Until one man approached me sometime when I got here. He said, "Oh, Father, there's a group of us who always, try to visit the Blessed Sacrament, 1 hour a day. Why don't you join?" And I said to him, this is something that I used to do, so I think I'll try to revive it, I'll try to get back into the group. He said, "Oh, great." He said to me, sometimes I travel far away on some business, and I get back home very late, and when I get back and I realize that, I haven't done my adoration, I come and put my chair outside the wall of the church, and I sit there and do my adoration for 1 hour before I go home. I said, "What? You come from your house and come and put a bench by the side of the wall where the tabernacle is, and you do your adoration and go home. And I'm sitting in my room and I have the key to the chapel, and I'm sleeping. You won't beat me again. You won't beat me again." Sometimes you need somebody to challenge you. This is a layman putting bench beside the side of the wall to do his adoration, and I have the key. Fix it. Fix the time for prayer. Don't say, "I'll do it at this time or that time." Or fix the time. I think that was the whole thing that the Lord was battling with me on that retreat. Fix it. Not 5:36. If it's 5, it's 5. Keep the time. I'm running out of time. I may have to skip some of the lessons. Right? Remember, this thing has been circulating on social media for a while. This professor who puts all these stones, in a jar. Says he comes to class and he has stones, big stones in a jar. He shows it to his students and says, "Is this full?" They say, "No." Then he puts in some pebbles, shakes it. "Is it full?" They say, "Well, yes." He said, No, not yet." He puts sand into the jar, shakes it. The sand also goes in. He says, "Is it full?" They say, "Yes, it's full." He says, "No, wait a minute. Not yet." He takes water, pours it into the jar, it goes in. Then he asks the students, "What is the lesson that I've just taught you?" You see, sir, it means that no matter how full your schedule is, there is still some space where you can fix in a bit more. Prof says, no, that's not the lesson. If you don't put in the big rock first, the small ones the big rock will never find space. Big things must go into your jar first. If you put in the sand first and the pebbles, the big rock can never enter. Fix your time of prayer first. Sometimes I make a joke of it. I say, look, if I haven't done my time of adoration before the Blessed Sacrament, even if the Pope is calling me, tell him to wait. What business am I coming to do for you, Your Holiness, when I haven't yet done the fundamental? What am I coming to do for you? How effective will I be? Let me do the needful first. Let me put a big rock in the jar. Then I'll do other things for you. Communal prayer is another dimension. It's lost on us in the parish sometimes because of our work. But if we still found some time to pray together, it would be of huge benefit. I know this a time when I was in Rome, sometimes when things were going so rough and so tough, just joining the community for prayer was healing enough. Join the community. Do the bravery sometimes. Finally, celebra missam, ut primam, ut ultimam, ut unicam. Don't rush through that Mass. Take your time. Celebrate the Mass as if it were your first Mass, as if it were your last Mass, as if it were your only Mass. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.